Okay, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed and got some knowledge, at least some one or two tips on what you need to do to your products, how to brand them much better so that it becomes more appealing. And the better you brand, the more, value you attract for that product, for that thing you are putting out there. Don't just carelessly put it in any container as long as people are able to buy, people in your community. You want to grow your business to go beyond your community to other places, interstate, and then before you know it, you start taking it out of the country, African countries, before you know it, worldwide. That's how life should be. We should keep growing and not just insist on what we know and keep going on as though there's nothing at stake. Okay, that's FinTech for you from our sister station in Lagos, Nigeria Info. And I am back, and this afternoon we'll be looking at some trending issues, trending news this afternoon. And I would like you to come along with me as we look at those issues and also get to discuss them. I'm streaming live on radio, onto YouTube, sorry. You can join me on Nigeria Info 95.1 Abuja. And drop your comments there in case you want to be a part of it. Okay, so what do we start with? Let's start with some very, 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 very important one. DSS and NLC, yesterday the news came on board when DSS was saying that NLC needs to shelve that protest because they have intelligence, and that has drawn further criticism for the DSS as to why they always love to, delve into issues and give it a political coloration, especially anything that has to do with protesting policies or steps taken by an administration, okay? And in all sense of honesty, it's not starting today. Right from time we know how DSS always comes in, especially things that you may not even want to consider it within their purview. Arresting people who insult the First Lady, arresting people who make political statements, whether on their social media platforms, you are traced and you're picked up to explain how dare you say things against the government and so on and so forth, So it's been there for the longest of time. And the question some have asked is, if the DSS has intelligence on that, why don't you work alongside with the necessary security agencies to ensure that those hoodlums or whoever it is that would want to infiltrate protests, arrest them, get them known out there, and prevent them from doing that. And then you carry on with ensuring that the protest stays within the legal, confines and all of that, rather than saying shelve the protest. The Constitution guarantees that everyone, association, freedom of assembly and association, that is constitutional. So you cannot ask people not to when the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, grants that to people or to associations and to, persons who feel aggrieved or just want to put out a message out there, whether to government or whoever it is or whatever it is that they are protesting. So DSS has asked the organized labor to shelve its plan, but NLC is just, is not taking that. Okay, the NLC yesterday dared the DSS to stop the protests and advise the secret police to face its job of providing credible intelligence to government on the devastating effect of the harsh economic policies. It will be recalled that Labour has served the federal government a notice to embark on a 2-day protest. That's between February 27 that should be in about 5 days' time. February 27 and 28 was the date that they gave that they will protest the hardship which comes from fuel subsidy removal and then the floating of the Naira by the present administration. And but reacting to the protest notice in a statement, the DSS said while it is the right of the labor movement to embark on protest, the body should not go ahead with it so as not to further jeopardize the prevailing situation in the country. Okay, it was signed by DSS Director of Public Relations and Strategic Communication, Dr. Peter Afunanya. But the Labour is not taking any of it. Okay, it's not taking of that. And Nigerians are also saying, please let Labour breathe, with the emphasis on the TH sound, And let anybody who wants to protest, whether it's a market woman that were arrested in Nigeria. Remember when that protest broke out? I think that was in Suleja. Later on, it was reported that the two women who were at the forefront of protesting or the protests were arrested. I saw the pictures and I was wondering, I mean, what offense did this woman commit now? Did we hear of any casualties or did we hear of anyone dying? And even if they did, is it as a result of these women who organize people to put out a message that enough is enough of the hardship? I think we need to focus on what is major in this country and leave those minor things, especially for respectable and reputable, organizations or security outfits like the DSS that have a larger responsibility towards, gaining or gathering the needed intelligence to guard against anything whatsoever that would end up becoming catastrophic. It's not in their place to say, don't do it. Okay, yeah, you can put out the intelligence, but then how are you collaborating with other security bodies or agencies to ensure that that doesn't happen? I remember that kid also in Niger State that came out and was debating. Well, the state government has come out to say, well, they would punish the teachers, punish the principal because of the utterances of that little boy. Even though I heard it, it was kind of funny, but then very thought-provoking that a child of that age, would say things like that with regards to the economy. Anyways, DSS, from all indication, will still carry on with the protest 27, 28. Many have said, well, we will join. Some people say they do not have confidence because of the reoccurrence of this sort of protest. You have it one day, before you know it is called off, and then they are back to negotiating with the government, and then it goes quiet again until another one is declared. So many Nigerians feel that NLC is really not living up to its own billings. The kind of confidence people have and expect, or the results people expect to see from NLC strikes or protests or whatever it is not necessarily trickling down to the average Nigerian. And so many have said, well, we're indifferent to it. And some say, well, way to go, we will join it at the end of the day. So however be it, we will get to have 27th and 28th come upon us in some few days' time. So watch out to see if there's going to be any clamping down, but that would not be a good thing. And now is not the time to clamp down on people, especially NLC, if they come out to protest, or even average Nigerians who come out to protest. The best we can have is for security agencies, security personnel to ensure that everything is done within legal or lawful confines, and do not allow the so-called hoodlums or whoever it is that will want to come and disrupt the proceedings and the way things are going. Anyways, adding to that, we understand that TUC said they are not going to be a part of that protest by NLC because they were not carried along. So that's another issue altogether. But NLC might just go ahead, but who knows? It might be called off before the day. So let's just watch and see. But thought to bring that up by way of starting. IMF sees Naira depreciating by 35% to 2,081 in official market. That's a prediction of IMF. IMF is always up on our case, predicting, looking at possibilities, advising, and so on and so forth. But that's just part of, the report this day. Okay. And let me just give you that report by the IMF. Okay. As is reported in Vanguard newspaper, that the International Monetary Fund has warned that the exchange rate of the Naira may further depreciate by 35% this year, adding that this could lead to inflation rate peaking at 44% before the monetary policy tightening could bring the situation under control. IMF disclosed this in its February post-financing assessment and staff report, noting that the nation's monetary policy is currently insufficiently tightened to bring inflation below 20%, while pressure on the Naira persists. The report noted that amidst the absence of local production and recent liberalization of commodity imports, the exchange rate would most likely depreciate further. And IMF said Nigeria had been hit by another adverse climate shock, in early 2024, following severe flooding in late 2022, which exacerbated the current weakness in agriculture and led to the decline in output and a surge in food prices. According to the Bretton Woods Institution, the country would benefit from developing a comprehensive macroeconomic growth strategy in collaboration with support from development partners. This, it said, would include aggressive monetary tightening, fiscal adjustment to restore macroeconomic stability, and putting in place climate adaptation measures, and it stressed that domestic demand had weakened due to the steep fall in real incomes, as investment in the oil sector would likely stall due to rising costs and production declines. The fund further predicted that the country's growth would fall to zero in 2024 and only slowly recover to 2% in 2028. Okay, so these are some of the doom and gloom prediction of IMF. Okay, going by their own standards. But I believe that, these things are not so accurate, or is not our story if we decide to take on aggressive measures to turn around all that is, causing for the Naira to keep on weakening. 35%, I don't know if this prediction actually comes to fruition. I mean, how do people survive? How do people survive seriously? With what it is, it's already that bad for many, many, many people. Talk more of another depreciation by 35%. That's like, things fall apart and the center cannot hold again. No. We know that the IMF and all the other bodies that compile this report do a lot of forensic investigation, putting in a whole lot into bringing out this report, based on empirical studies and all the methodologies they put into bringing out this report. But then it doesn't mean that has to be the story. It doesn't mean it has to be the story. We can take steps in listening to, sound economic advice by renowned or people who are experts in the field. We have them all around. But it seems maybe they are not just in position of power to influence the changes we need, especially with regards to monetary policies, fiscal policies. We also have, a whole lot that has to do with the floating of the Naira and the fuel subsidy. We know that all of these multiple factors have contributed in making things happen the way they are happening economically for Nigerians. So the will, politically, to overturn some of these things that may not necessarily be working is another thing, Because for me, if you ask me, leadership is not just about, I put out a policy and whether it works or not, I've already put it out there. So nobody can tell me to change it. It's a matter of putting out policy because you have the best interests of the people at heart for it to work and improve on their prosperity, their welfare, their security, and every other thing. But then if it is not working and people are crying and groaning under the weight of such policy that is affecting them adversely, then it is time to look again. It is time to re-examine, to relearn what is necessary at a time like this, because these are peculiar times for Nigerians, right? So if this floating of the Naira is not working for us because we don't have all that is necessary to make it to work, then can we have a turnaround? Okay? If the removal of the fuel subsidy, which is immersed in a lot of controversy right now as it is actually not working, can we do something? Because, the question as to whether floating a currency is good or bad, I was trying to study a bit because, these are kind of complicated areas. So one needs to be careful to understand the nitty-gritties of all of that. But then it just, one thing I learned is that when you have a higher demand, it means you get higher value, while lower demands means lower value. So using a floating currency can be, it can be considered beneficial to when the economy is strong and that the fiscal policy is sound. Now, can that be said about our country currently? Do we need it at this point in time, or we need all the things put together or everything working before we can go ahead to do that, if it's even necessary? Because how many countries actually float their currencies? That's the big question we need to ask, So for me, policies do not have to be a do or die thing. If it is not working, then let there be a turnaround, because we've seen that happen severally in different countries where a policy is not good, the people cry out, and that is turned around for better ones. After all, government is there for welfare of the people, security of the people. The Constitution states that clearly in Section 14. If the welfare of the people are adversely affected because of the poor policy, whether it's monetary, fiscal, and otherwise, then what are we doing? What are we doing? Is it a case of a lack of will to do so? Is it a case of egos being, not wanting to be bruised, or a lack of wanting to admit, okay, we're wrong about this? We've seen several times where leaders come out to apologize publicly, and there's something that does. It endears the people to them, because you're only showing that you're human, right? And as much as you're a leader, you are bound to make mistakes. It's okay to do that, but not sticking and holding on to it, would become failure. But rather saying, well, we admit that this is wrong, this is not working right now, and we'll have to retract or recant and then do something much better before we float a policy that will go out there. Not because we can, so we must. It doesn't work like that. Hopefully we get to still hope and pray that, with all the agitations, all the advice, all the pushings and the groanings of Nigerians would get the attention of the government to do the necessary thing in terms of fuel subsidy, probably a reversal of it, or the floating of the naira, a reversal of that, and probably better policies that work for us, right? That's all of us. That's what we all want. Okay, moving away from there, in Ondo State, there is a public holiday as the former governor, late Akeredolu's funeral rites have begun in Ondo State, and so they're taking off today, tomorrow, and the weekend, and probably resume work on Monday. We pray that the soul of the late governor continues to rest in peace and fortitude for not just the family, but the whole of the state, because he was a public figure. He was a person of all the people who voted him into office. Unfortunately, ill health, which can happen to any mortal, took over. We've seen instances where people in leadership position have died. In Nigeria, we've experienced that twice, right? Where we had a head of state and a president die while in power. Our mind is casted back to Abacha, General Sani Abacha, and of course, the late Yar Adua, who was also, voted and barely 2 to 3 years into office. What the Hausaman would say, life did what it could do, and it happened. So Akeredolu, unfortunately, also died after a long battle. And I'm sure everything was done to ensure he lived. But hey, when God says it is time, it is time. So we pray that God comforts the people of Ondo State at this point in time. But the burial rites have started, and it goes on. Right, I'll just take on 2 more stories, and then I'll open the line so we can just explore some of these trending issues. On the international scene, the back and forth between the U.S. and Russia is still on. Biden has called Putin a crazy sub. Those are some of the, exchange there that is going down. But then Lassa fever, this thing comes on board and then goes again. But it seems it just never goes away. Lassa fever, NSCDC registers 411 cases and 72 deaths in 6 weeks. So it tells you that it's back again. It's a zoonotic ailment, right? Transferred from rats and their feces that finds their way into food and other places where human gets to consume it, and then somehow it affects. So it's quite a dangerous one. And over and above all things, I think hygiene, is very, very important. If you are living in a house where it's infested with rats, find a way of getting rid of those things. They're quite dangerous, very, very dangerous, and inimical to health on the overall. You find most of this happening in rural areas where people go out to sun their corn by the roadside, and some of these animals come. You see lizards feasting on those things that are having or being sunned, and sometimes they defecate on it and leave. Rats who come, eat and defecate and leave, and then later on they come and pack it and then take it, go grind it, and then you start consuming things that should not be consumed. It's quite unfortunate. But 411 confirmed cases and 72 deaths from Lassa fever across 21 states of the Federation from week 1 to week 6 of 2024 tells you and I that we need to be more careful. We need to be more very, very passionate about how and what we consume, whether in our homes or going out there to go and just eat. You need to be very, very careful because Lassa fever is still a real thing. Okay, let's take a break and then we'll come back. When we come back, we'll round up on the stories and then begin to take the calls.
Get ready to take your taste buds on an adventure with Eat Right. Experience meals made with love, served with smiles and a chilled, refreshing bottle of Pepsi. But that's not all, guys. Eat Right is here with Hafi, Saudi Arabia's biggest fast food restaurant with over 37 years of success serving customers across major cities in the world.
That's right. Eat Right and Hafi are now open in Abuja and Kano in partnership with your favorite cola, Pepsi. So you can now start enjoying confirmed experiences with you and your loved ones every time you walk through our doors. Join our community by following us at Eat Right NG on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and at Eat Right FS on Twitter. Eat Right, more than a meal. It's a lifestyle.
Hi there, my name is Podre Madi, Senior Pastor.
Hi everyone, my name is Swat. That's the name my father gave me, but you can always call me Her Vocal Majesty. I'm the host of The Sunny Side on 95.1 Nigeria Info. It takes place every weekday, noon to 3 p.m., where we get to have all the lovely contemporary conversations. If your days are normally long and gloomy, well, not anymore, because I'm here to make it all bright and sunny for you. So join me. It's an invitation. You don't want to miss out.
To all
Audio Jungle.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 is Nigeria Info.
Okay, thank you for being here. This is the passionate, trustworthy, and conversational station. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming live on Facebook, and I see your messages coming in. Thank you so much. Abdullahi Ishaka, Michael Ndubisi, Moazu John Lasisi, and Bangis Francis send me messages on Facebook. Thank you so much, guys. Abdullahi Ishaka said, good afternoon, Ma. Watching you live from Zaria. Ooh. Thank you. This is good. Michael Ndubisi said, the golden voice on radio, Auntie Swat. Yes, my brother. How are you? Wazi John Lasisi said, honestly, protect at this point may be, is it protest you mean to say? Protest at this point may be disaster. It may be hijacked by hoodlums because the country is already on high alert. It may go beyond control. Hello, Swat. Good afternoon. Oh, you look beautiful. Thank you, Bangis Francis. Thank you so much. And I will check the YouTube in a bit to see if we have any messages there. It doesn't even look... okay, let me try and see if I can get that. All right, yes. So, we were talking about Lassa fever, right?
All right, yes.
About the issues of Lassa fever and how people are reported to have died, and over 411 cases confirmed, 72 deaths, and also the need for us to please be watchful how we eat, what we eat, where we also eat, because you just don't know. You just don't know. So please be watchful. And if you have a lot of those things around your surrounding, your house, find a way of just destroying those things. I hate them with a passion. It's very, very disgusting, I don't know if that's part of animal rights, but seriously, without apologies. Rats are nothing. I don't know if there's anything nice about those things. They are horrible, horrible. Sometimes they even bring a smell in the house where you have them. So watch out. Be careful with your health. Right, let's take on the final story this afternoon on trending issues this day. Today's Thursday. Thank you so much for all that you keep doing to make our radio station to just keep appreciating on a daily basis through your contributions. And I urge you to continue to do that. Now, let's look at, the clamor for coup. Chief of Defense Staff is throwing a warning to Nigerians out there. Guys, you need to be careful because there might just be arrests on people who are clamping or clamoring for, coup because of hardship. Because that's a conversation, right now when you go to... especially where those newspapers stands. Well, those men used to go every morning to go and argue, and personal circles where people just discuss the issues. There's hardly any circle you go right now, whether you go to the market or you go to a highbrow environment, you go to a corporate setting. Everywhere Nigerians are gathered, there's almost one setting discussion that is ongoing, whether it's just friends, even between spouses. I was passing yesterday, my husband said, honey, come. And I came. I felt he wanted to tell me something. Then he started showing me a story. I was like, are you kidding me? That's what you called me for. So that I would start talking politics. I'm not in this, And I just found a way of escaping because sometimes it just gets to you. All the time, everywhere you turn, that's the same discussion over and over. They are cheap and what is currently going down. And right now, when you hear what people are saying, it's always tilted that, how the children of Israel left, the story of the children of Israel leaving Egypt, and then they got to a point and they said, we miss our garlic, we miss our cucumbers, we miss the onions that we used to have in Egypt. Meanwhile, there were slaves there. It was just so ironical, and it was very annoying for Moses was leading them. So that's what Nigerians are saying right now. In some circles, you begin to hear, even the military this, military rule, this and that. You don't want us to go back there. That's an autocratic system of government. And maybe democracy may not be working well for us. But seriously, would you want a situation where you have some sort of hard cane or some dictatorial beings chasing you around, making you to queue up and do frog jump and all those stuffs that used to happen way back in 1983, the war against indiscipline, which was a gross abuse and violation of human rights back then for people who were old enough, to actually recall all the gross violation of human rights. They would tell you in clear terms of how you would be flogged, for example, if you go to work late, or if you do something wrong, they would ask you to do frog jump or some sort of punishment that you be given, whether it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter your position. It's just crazy, when you get to read the history of how Nigeria was. And, the same thing that during the Buhari regime and even spilling into this one that people experience back then is what we seem to be. So how would you think that the same things that were experienced back even in the military regime would be solved by the same people who actually brought it upon Nigerians? I think we need to go back to history. We should not have, conducive amnesia because the suffering is so biting right now. So we want to go back to Egypt where we get our onions and cooking bars and all the nice things, forgetting that a slave would always be a slave. Anyways, if you understand what I'm saying, Christopher Musa, the chief of defense staff, has warned against the clamor for a coup over the prevailing economic hardships in Nigeria. He spoke on Thursday after inaugurating the main entrance of the 6th Division Nigerian Army and Officers Transit Accommodation at the division headquarters in Port Harcourt, Rivers State capital. Nigeria has been experiencing economic instability and galloping inflation since the removal of the subsidy on petrol and the unification of the exchange rates in May of 2023. And this has prompted some protests in parts of the country. Some citizens have also taken to social media to advocate for military intervention as a panacea to the country's challenges. Responding to questions on the subject, Musa said while the country has been experiencing some challenges, calls for a coup were way out of order. According to the media and some newspapers that report this, the chief of defense staff or defense chief said the military will protect Nigeria's democracy with all it has got. Whoever is making that call of coup does not love Nigeria. We want to make it very clear that the armed forces of Nigeria are here to protect democracy. That's what he said. We all want democracy and we do better on the democracy. And so we'll continue to support democracy. And, any one of those that are calling for anything other than democracy, he calls them evil people. And I think they don't mean well for Nigeria. I don't think they're evil. They just are in their bid of trying or calling for a betterment. When people get desperate, they begin to say things that I'm sure they don't even mean. So, I think the way Nigerians are feeling right now, sometimes it should be viewed, especially from leadership, from a point of empathy, because people are going through pain. So it's only natural that people say things they don't even mean. They might not be evil, but it's also not the best of plans for Nigeria to want to wish for us to go back to military rule. Thankfully, the chief of defense staff is at the forefront of saying, well, the military is here to protect democracy. Okay, as long as we continue to practice this system of government, it should be safeguarded until, of course, there's any change in the constitution or through a referendum or whatever it is for us to have a change in system of government. After all, many countries practice different type of government. The one that makes me laugh is when you say kakistocracy. That name sounds very funny and a whole lot. You have the benevolent autocracy, you have democracy, you have, what's this one, where you have the kings that are the head of such countries, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it has to be by the agreement of all Nigerians, right? Through some sort of referendum or in whatever form we feel is fit to change that. But for now, we practice democracy, and democracy may not be suiting us so well or not giving us the dividends the way we expected, but it is way better than any form of military or autocratic system of government where people lose their right to the government and you do as you are told without any excuse, some sort of in fact, even the way you think, somehow, if it means they will control the way you think. You don't want that too. We don't want a regimented system where people do not have rights respected and safeguarded. Okay, so that's it. Those are the stories that we can take today on this trending news. And I would love to hear from you. Let's get to discuss. Drop your comments on our Facebook page. We're streaming live, and you can also drop it on the YouTube. Let me know what you think on any of the topic, the headlines you would want to contribute to. And then in the meantime, you can dial 0700 951 0000, and you can also dial 080 9597 4869. WhatsApp is 080 999 30 137. I'll give you a minute and 30 seconds to put your points together so we can open up the conversation to as many people as possible. Thank you for calling. And please watch your utterances on radio. Don't come here insulting anyone, attacking anybody. You know, you have any reservation about something, you can put it in the most respectable way without degenerating or stooping to use words of insult or, you know, attacking people. I would let you go without wasting any time and without apologies too. So please, let's have the most decent and proper conversation as much as we can. No false information is allowed also. Thank you so much. Hello? Sorry. Hello? Hello? Oh, call me back, please. Call me back. That wasn't clear. All right. We have messages too coming in. We'll be taking that alongside. After I see your message, good afternoon to you this afternoon. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Barrister Swat, Abubakar calling you from Gwagwalada.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. We are in a very interesting period of our national history, to the extent even those in authority, they know the feelings of most of Nigerians, most especially the downtrodden. We have been crushed, not even pushed to the wall. And a change of government may not happen through a military coup. History has punished us with several instances. It happened during the Arab Spring. It was a youth who was hawking vegetable that the task force seized his material, that he set himself ablaze. That was triggered the Arab Spring, that it ended many regimes within the Middle East countries. So we are urging those in authority, they should sit up. Nigerians are hungry, seriously hungry, living in abject poverty, no place for the ruling class. They should avoid anything deadlier than answer. It may erupt at any time, no date, no time. This RNG proposed Labour Congress, this RNG protest, we don't want it. We don't want it. And DSS should be apolitical. They should use their intelligence to discover the hideout of the bandit and kidnappers. They should be a political police.
Yeah. I wish, the DSS would also give us intelligence, for example, when a community is going to be attacked. We can quickly gather that intelligence and let people know, or when there are plans to attack any individual or something like that. Those things would make us, sit up and really respect and be very, appreciative of this sort of things. When it comes to politics, I think it just brings a whole lot of mistrust as to why is it always political things or things that have to do with the politicians that we see them rising up and arresting people and interrogating people and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that should not be it, but more of the things that would safeguard security of the people, and that would be way better appreciated. That's not to take away from them that they do that too. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sister Swat.
Yes, welcome.
Mr. Pius comes from Maitama.
All right.
We want to thank the Chief of Defense Staff. He has spoken very well. Sister Swat, when we were growing up, you see, both the military and the police, if you are going on the highway, you see them ahead, you feel protected, including the police. That time we use the federal highways from point to point, for about 5 kilometers ahead, you meet another one, just like that. And even when we were in Kano, if there is problem, under the military, you feel protected. I think they should look inwards and put things right. What has really gone wrong? I think it's the question we should be asking ourselves. The citizens will see a roadblock ahead. You will hold your tongue in your heart, in your hand, in your mouth, or in your hand. Is it true or is it not true? So you understand me?
I'm listening.
Everybody wants to play safe. My opinion on this issue is that I'm asking why are we not safe along the highway, seeing military ahead, and when you see be doubting.
All right,
why
sir.
is
You
it
need
like
to round
that?
up. 1.5 minutes is all I'm giving everybody, please. Many people are
Thank you
waiting.
very much. Just my
Thank you.
opinion.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate. Thank you, Simon Matthew. You've been sending messages on my YouTube. Thank you. You said, good afternoon, Swat. Those that will hijack the protests are those that are known by those that sent them. Instead of stopping NLC, DSS should provide protection for protesters. And you said, as for the suggestion for coup, it is a solution that people are putting on the table since the government seems not to be forthcoming. The CDS should not be too quick to make the statement he's making as if nothing is done to address the issues going on in the country. It may become a reality. They should come back to reality. Okay, thank you, Simon. Matthew, hello. Hello. Okay, this person is not ready to talk. Good afternoon. Hello. Okay, another network issue. Hello.
Auntie Swat.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you, my sister. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
God bless you. God bless Nigeria. I did all the callers. This are the calling. DSS. They should please face what they're supposed to do. Why is it that when Nigeria want to stop is when they will remember that their work supposed to be doing? In all these parties, we inform villagers. We are coming on social day. They will hear. The people will do what they say. They will go to there, and the DSS will not do anything. Now they are going against labor. Not that I'm happy with the way labor also took Nigeria matter. Because over 6 months now, labor too, they have been using us like a caricature with government. In the night of the strike now, you will see them in pillar. Look at now, CUC has funded. They boycotted the incoming protest. Who is pulling who? They are just sitting on women. But the day you allow them on the chief of defense staff, he should go and talk to president. People are not happy. That's why we are talking of food. I was one of those who say we shouldn't talk of food when a lot of people want food to happen. But for now, the way things are going, it's unfair. It's unfair. We don't want them, but the minister, the president also should do the needful. I said it's unfortunate the way he's running government. It was so among of those who fought for democracy. People like Pa Jani or Jaolani, Pa Brahmadisanya, and in blessed memory now. How will they be feeling when they see the same Tinubu that joined them, suffer under Abacha, they fought Babangida, they fought military? Why you fight for democracy, Mr. President, if you know that it's to come and suffer out? It's not good. It's not good.
All right, thank you.
They should do the needful.
Thank you. I appreciate. Sorry, drop call. Let's take this, then read messages too. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Swat.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is Papa Shunama calling you from Gidamanguru.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, Swat, there is something I don't understand in this democracy we are practicing now. Because I could remember when we had the military rule, people easily come out to protest. So why are we so scared and so afraid to protest in a democratic setting? I think Nigerians should just change that word, protest. Let's call it demand. Let us come out and demand for what is good for our collective interest. Once they call out for protest, I am coming out with my children to protest. May the Kukuma kill all of us. Because we can't continue like this. I don't know why we are so scared to come out.
Let me remind you, Papa Shinamite, in case you're forgetting. The statistics is so glaring. In fact, I think I'll bring back my report tomorrow so that I'll read out some of the statistics about how protests were clamped down in the last 8 years, from the Shia protests to the, NSAS, to Revolution Now, to some Bring Back Our Girls and all of that. Have you forgotten how many people were arrested, how many people lost their lives, how many people were, just things happening? So with that sort of traumatic history, do you think people will be confident because you don't want to become a scapegoat?
But must we continue like that?
Well, exactly. That's a good question.
But is it fair? a democratic state. We can't continue like that. I think now, you know that the government now, what they don't understand now, they have hit us so hard. It's not about Tinubu must go. I don't envy, because I believe that Buhari, the former president, caused all this. People be just escape a stray bullet. Because had it been that he's not a magician, I don't know what could have been this thing by now.
Thank you.
Know? But I think Tinubu should just give us that leeway to come out and demand for our rights.
No, Tinubu doesn't have to give you and I. The Constitution guarantees it. As long as you carry on your peaceful protests and put out your demand, there's nothing that stops a Nigerian for that. It's guaranteed by the law. It's given to you. It's part of your human rights, whether it's at the national level or from even the UN Human Rights Charter and all of that, Everybody has a right to protest. There's no democratic country in the world. It's places where you have military rule and some autocratic form of government that clamps that down. So that's why it's kind of amazing or kind of shocking when you see democracy that guarantees or should be, a sort of government that allows for human rights to thrive would go right ahead and use anti-democratic actions in a democratic setting. It's kind of ironical, isn't it? So it's not the president should allow, or nobody needs to allow you. As long as the constitution of the land allows for that, it's okay. As long as you go in a peaceful way, in such a way that you ensure that it does not degenerate into anything that will be inimical and harmful to the well-being and security, I think it's okay. All right. So you don't have to wait to be allowed to do anything of that sort. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome. Good afternoon to you.
My name is Timothy. I'm calling from Nasarawa.
Okay. You have your radio. There's a hold back. Please, can you switch it off?
Okay, my sister. May God bless you.
Thank you.
You see, this issue of protest, I don't know why in Nigeria are waiting labor for now. Even me now, as I'm telling you, I'm ready to start it today, tomorrow. Things has already go out of hand for this country. This police and DSS who is stopping this protest go to woman Barakete every morning. Now police and DSS, now then they make people know they could do their own complaint. Their complaint there is too much. They don't pay them salary, they don't retire, they don't do this. But when they go to
Hello?
In fact, my sister.
Yes?
This timber we are talking now, things don't go out of hand for this country. This is not Nigeria where we know. Let Tinubu, if you want to rule Nigeria, let him rule Nigeria. If you don't want to rule Nigeria, please let him leave Nigeria alone. Now, the small time, in children go, they tell us, let us get patient. Is it the children is ruling in Nigeria or the father is ruling Nigeria? That is what is okay for this country.
The children are joining to say, please, you should be patient with our daddy. Yeah, while wearing a Richard Mille wristwatch. And you're telling people to be patient. That thing just makes me, it just provokes a whole lot of question in my mind. Like, let's not even start, please, shall we? Let's just leave things because everything starts and ends with leadership. Where was patience when you knew that Nigeria was broke, in quote, when you were allocating a whole lot for our lawmakers to buy luxury cars where they were used to go to their constituencies and take care of them, and they were buying foreign cars instead of patronizing locally made ones. I remember how that irked a lot of Nigerians and it became an issue. What was the patience where tons of billions were allocated for renovating houses, for buying luxury yachts, and so on and so forth? What are we saying? We remember these things, just like it happened now. So when we talk about patience, we should also ensure that we show patience and carry on with all that represents the fact that we're taking a step, and so people would follow suit, Anyways, Swat and Mr. Maxwell from Niger State on IMF saying Naira would still lose like 35% to the dollar. I'm shaking my head. If someone had told me before now that I'll miss Buhari, I would have fought that person. You really do? I don't think you do. Maybe you don't understand how everything is interconnected to where we are, and that's why you're speaking like this. Okay? But it's all good. That's your opinion. Please, DSS should focus on intelligence, not advising NLC not to protest. IMF has turned Nigeria to practical ground where they will come and perform their practicals, and our leaders accept their manuals. For example, exchange. Okay, he said for exchange rate before the end of the year 2024, $1 will be 5,000 naira. No, it will not be. I doubt. I'm sure at some point in time it will start crashing. Seriously, if we put in the right measures, though, if we do what is needful in terms of turning around, and ensuring that the Naira appreciates local production and the likes, exporting to our local goods that we get to process here. Good afternoon, SWAT. Please help us and beg AEDC to give us light, even if it is for 2 hours at night. We are suffering in Gosa Borehole Airport Road. Right now, there is no pure water to buy. We are now drinking borehole water. And as a result, my second daughter is sick. Right now, SWAT, is it a crime to be Nigerian? I don't see any light in this government. Marty from Gosa. So sorry, Marty, you're always complaining about this. I'm so sorry to hear that your light situation has not even been attended to. It's quite unfortunate. Anyways, we'll keep raising the alarm as much as you send us messages until we get the necessary attention at, where is that? Gosa Borehole Airport Road. Please, AEDC, please help these people out. Their light is a very, 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 in a state where no one would want to have their light situation. Okay. Yahya, the head boy from Masaka, said, good afternoon, SWAT. I asked what floating the Naira it is. Okay. What floating the Naira is. Is it not for the purpose of ease of doing business? If it is not working, government should reverse to no floating Naira. Haba, I'm not sure what the government of Tinubu-led administration are aware of what we are passing through. Is it until we all die that they would hasten up, or else I will buy my Iya rice on credit. Okay. Thank you, Haya. Let's see who's here. Hello. Okay. Dropped call. Call me back. Let's see. As we get to the 2 o'clock hour very, very soon, I will take trending news. Hello.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, this is coming down on the line.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
As a legal practitioner, the Constitution permitted, I believe the Constitution gave us that right to voice out our grievances in a peaceful way so that government can listen to us. So DSS should station their men and work on the intelligence, not to scare Nigerians, not to come protest. Because the cost of living in this country now, just like what we are observing, it is not that there is no food in the country, but can you buy it? Every blessed day, price keep on changing. They are just reviewing it upward, not downward. And government just kept quiet over it, that they should give them time, they are working on it. They have been calling in every means, any social media, in fact, any means we have to complain. But it seems that government are not listening. So going on the street with our placard telling them that this is the problem we are facing, I think it will draw their attention. Finally, SWAT. Now you said in Mina, they are going to punish the principal and the teacher that guided that boy on that day. Is it not the truth that boy is saying, that viral video? There is nothing, to me, it did not add anything. That is exactly what Nigerians are passing through. After the removal of subsidy, Nigerians' life have turned upside down. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you. Okay. It's 1:59 already, so we'll be gearing up to take the trending news in a bit. But let me read this message very quickly on Facebook. F.A. Kakum Lemoro said, "Good afternoon, SWAT. It's only in Nigeria when public protests, they will say it's politically motivated, so the people don't have right to speak." Okay, and I think I can still read this one. Okore Stephen Ugbonaya said, "Good afternoon, Sister SWAT. Thank you. I think the best way to avoid protests is to take urgent action in dealing with the issue of pump price of food items in the market, and the exchange rate. If these three things are dealt with before that day, the protests will die a natural death. To me,
there's a place where you can get it all trending.
People are dropping on their vehicle and running, leaving their vehicle.
A place where you can air your views.
I want to report the situation.
Only on your number one station for talk.
This is not the way. We cannot continue like this.
95.1 Nigeria Info. Abuja. Let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.